Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, our first chai chat. And for those of you who don't know, chai means tea in Hindi. And this is Dr. Usman Singh with Julie Logan, DC. And we've been working together for 5 years. And we want to share a couple of our insights with you guys today about simple detox strategies. So grab your cup of tea. I'm drinking some chai. I made a little bit of chai masala, which is just a combination of different spices. And in my chai masala, I have cardamom, clove, black pepper, and cinnamon. And we just kind of blend them all together in a coffee grinder, and it makes like a little powder. And I just put it in some boiling water. And I'm drinking that today with some collagen creamer. So if that sounds good to you guys, we'll see. And I made some tea for Julie with dandelion root. And so is that any good?
It tastes great. Yeah,
It
it
tastes
doesn't
so
taste
great.
at all like what you would think a dandelion would taste like.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about why that dandelion root tea is really good for you. So just a couple of disclaimers. We're both here to give you guys some education and not give you medical advice for you or your family, but just to help educate you. And our practice, True Health Medical Center, I own that practice, and Pure Compounding Pharmacy, and a family member owns True Health Naturals, and they're sponsoring this event for us today. So also, because we deal a lot with children, we want you guys to understand that we're not actually treating any medical conditions. Like, we don't treat autism, but we treat the underlying medical and biomedical issues that a lot of the children that we see face. So to get started, I just wanted to introduce you to Julie. She, like I said, she's been working with me for the last 5 years, and we work on a lot of different areas in our practice. We like to talk about detox and genomics and methylation and mitochondria, and we can get our geek on about all that kind of stuff. But Julie's really great at looking at things like mycotoxins, mold issues, SIRS, SIBO. She's given some great talks on SIBO, so if you guys want to look those up. But today we're going to focus on simple detox strategies. And I know that we can go on and talk about all kinds of detox and chelation and all that type of things, but we're just going to keep it simple today, because I want you guys to understand that when we're doing detox and we're trying to clear the body of things, that we need to keep in mind that the whole point is we need to get things out of the body. And sometimes things get stuck along the way. And if they get stuck, we get into trouble with our detox strategies. So let's talk a little bit about what we can do to keep things moving, things eliminating, and have really good success when we're trying to detox. So Julie, what do we need to know? What is detox, for instance? What is that?
So detox is short for detoxification, and that's a name for a series of processes that help our bodies clear our own waste from a cellular level all the way up to the food that you ate yesterday, but also helps our bodies to get rid of toxic chemicals that are coming into our bodies from all different sources all the time. And this is an increasing issue with the increased levels of pollution and chemicals that are in our environment every day.
So who needs to detox? Does everybody need to detox, or certain types of people, or certain conditions?
Absolutely. So the answer really is everybody is going to need to detox. And honestly, our bodies are very good at cleaning our own houses, but we get bogged down and we get broken down when we have a huge excess in our environment. So if you live in a suburban environment, you most likely need to detox. And unfortunately, as the number and amounts of chemicals go up in our environment, what's sprayed on our food, what's fed to the animals that we're eating, what medications we're taking, what's injected into our body, the increased number of diseases that are related to toxicity is going up. And so sometimes we don't do anything until we actually break down, and then we're trying to fix something that's broken. But detoxification strategies are for everyone, because it's always better to not break down in the first place.
Yeah, it's that whole garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
And in our society these days, we get a lot of garbage in, and our bodies are stressed, and it's hard for our bodies get things out. So what does that mean to get things out? How do we really eliminate these types of, glyphosate and pesticides and herbicides and heavy metals and, preservatives that our body just isn't used to seeing? How do we eliminate all of
Yeah, so normally our detoxification systems are through our skin, believe it or not, through our lungs, through our kidneys, our liver, and our intestines. So I think we're going to go more into detail about each of those and how we can support that.
Yeah, sometimes, when I talk to families and we're going through different detoxes, I will kind of get a sense that there's the process is stuck in certain places.
Right.
Yeah. So all the different kind of like the different organs of elimination, or the different ways our body eliminates things. What are the main ways our body gets rid of stuff? Like, what are the different organs of elimination?
Yeah, so number one would be the skin. Then we have this complicated system of vessels that are similar to blood vessels, but they carry lymph fluid. So that's a lymphatic system. That's an important way of detoxification as well. And then the kidneys are very important. The kidneys filter the blood, so they're constantly filtering toxins out of the bloodstream. The liver does the same thing, and the liver is incredibly important because the liver is able to designate what things should be detoxed, but it needs some help with that process sometimes. And the gallbladder as well. And then one of the most forgotten organs is going to be the intestines. So we know that we should be going to the bathroom every day. We didn't realize what an important accomplishment that was, because that is how we get most of these toxins out of our body.
Yeah, and we like to talk about the gut and how that's important. And sometimes we forget that the gut is a really important detox pathway.
Exactly.
So I also want you to explain to our viewers today, this whole process of a lot of the patients that we see have neuroinflammation and maybe neurotoxicity. And how does that, how do you get things out of the brain, through the body? Like, what's the process of all of that?
So if we were to start from the top down, which in actual detox we do the opposite, we want there to be lymphatic flow. And so when we have kids with allergies and constant congestion, swollen tonsils and apraxia, and just everything is so congested up here, we need to help open that up. And we want the lymph to be able to come back down where it can get into the bloodstream, and then it's going to be filtered by the kidneys and the liver. So we might employ different strategies to do that. But at that point, that can be a place where we get stuck in our detoxification. Another huge one is constipation. So most of our kids come in with constipation or diarrhea, but constipation, they might not have a bowel movement for 3 or 4 days at a time. And so unfortunately, even if we did mobilize toxins, they would just reabsorb them. They can't get out if you can't have a bowel movement.
Yeah. So if we talk about those different organs of elimination, let me go through them. So skin, how do we detox the skin? What are some of the things that people can do, simple strategies that people can do to help with the skin?
Yes. Well, the main one is going to be sweating. So sweating in exercise, sweating in a sauna, sweating in a steam room. But the key thing is you need to wash afterward. Something that can help eliminate toxins even faster before the sweating is dry skin brushing. And there is a special type of brush that is made for that, and there's a technique for using it. But you can do the dry brushing and then go into your sauna. But then again, you want to go wash off after that.
Yeah. And I think with the body brushing, I know sometimes OTs will use the really hard brushing, but for the lymphatics, you just kind of want to do a gentle brush from the tips of your fingers to the heart and the bottom, the feet, all the way to the heart, and try to move the lymphatics towards this particular area.
Yeah.
What did you think about baths?
So Epsom salt baths, sea salt baths, clay baths, these are other ways that we can enhance the detoxification through the skin. And they also feel pretty good too. So it helps. We get two good things in one.
Okay, so the next organ, lymphatics.
So think about lymphatics as a reverse system of blood vessels, and they empty into the bloodstream up here, essentially. And so that's why we were talking about brushing from the fingertips up and from the lower part of the body up to this point. So anything that gets the blood circulating is also going to increase lymphatic flow. But exercise is very helpful. Jumping on a trampoline actually is helpful for lymphatic circulation. Sweating, again, like we talked about before. And then you can also support the lymphatic system with homeopathics, and then there are some herbal tonics that are specific for enhancing lymphatic drainage. And one more thing is there are massage therapists that practice lymphatic drainage. And so for those people who are having a lot of trouble with lymphatic congestion, those people who may have had lymph nodes removed because of cancer, I would definitely want to enlist the services of that professional.
And then our biggies, kidney, liver.
Yes.
What do you think?
So for the kidneys, hydration is one of the most important things. So drinking water, drinking fluids, and then also addressing the acid alkaline balance. So in our world today, we tend to be too acidic. And if we drink electrolytes every day, potassium is very important. That helps our bodies in the process of detoxification. And there are certain herbs and also tonics and supplements that we can take to support the kidneys. The liver is the workhorse of the entire body. It does so many things for us, and we don't even ever recognize that. But the liver's job is to basically tag things to be excreted. And in order to do that, it needs certain nutrients. So nutrients that support the formation of bile, herbs that protect the liver like milk thistle, there are lots of formulas out there. But that is an incredible organ that needs to be supported. If we only knew what it's doing for us every day, we would take better care of it. But then substances that are known to our particular group of patients, like NAC and glutathione, are important supplements that can be used to enhance this.
I think broccoli sprout extract is something that a lot of people use that can also be helpful. And certain supplements like glycine can help make glycolic acid, which is a bile emulsifier, and taurine can make taurocolic acid, which is a bile emulsifier as well.
And choline.
And choline, that's a great one too. So we can go on, but these are really important when we're doing, implementing different detox strategies. And then what about the intestines? I think like you and I love talking about things like dysbiosis and SIBO and the microbiome. But I think both of us have had these talks about how our big problem seems to be motility.
Yes.
That things aren't moving in the colon the way they need to move. And even if kids have bowel movements every day, they may not be totally emptying and clearing the stuff. And if we're doing a detox strategy and things aren't moving out, then things get reabsorbed, and we end up with problems with excitation, more stimming, more agitation. So what are some of the strategies that we could employ to help kind of move things through the gut to be a little bit better?
Exactly. So obviously dealing with dysbiosis, which is a big subject in our practice. But we also have agents that work on motility directly. So there are herbal agents, there are some pharmaceutical agents that some people with more advanced SIBO could use. Magnesium is an osmotic laxative, and so it helps pull water into the stool. Vitamin C does the same thing. And then there are some herbs that can support bowel function, but also stimulate the colon to empty, and those are called cathartic herbs. So that's another category. But again, when I said we typically start with detoxification from the bottom up, the intestines are really that bottom. That's the drain that has to be opened in order for everything else to get out. So the job of the intestines, remember, is to absorb. So if you have stool that's sitting in the intestines for a long period of time, any toxins that were in that are unfortunately going to get reabsorbed. So exercise is also helpful, and then sometimes probiotics, fibers, and different things for different people.
Yeah, and I think some of our patients, they use vitamin C, magnesium, some of these herbs. We've tried triphala. We've tried things that help with motility, like lion's mane,
iberogast,
low dose naltrexone. various suppositories, sometimes enemas, sometimes castor oil packs. And I'll tell you, there's some kids where it's still a problem.
Yeah.
It's still a problem. When you have those patients where you can't get their bowels to move, and we know it's so important because that's like, we need to have that piece to do the rest of it.
Yes.
When you have those patients where you just can't get their bowels to move, what are you thinking? Like, what's going on underneath all that? So what are our differential? What are we worried about?
Usually I'm thinking that there's a neurologic issue. So the neurologic communication to the gut is not functioning the way we want it to do. So chiropractic adjustments can help here. Motility work, which is a complicated subject, but us working with motility with the patient can help. And then also, like we said before, dealing with the infections and the dysbiosis.
Yeah, and the SIBO is a big one.
The SIBO is a huge one. Methane, bacteria is a big one.
SIBO. Yeah. And I think too, in my mind, aluminum and lead.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes homeopathics can help with that, like homeopathic therapies as well. So we put a lot out there, and I know we just kind of want to get you guys through some of these ideas and not spend too much time with us because I know you guys are busy parents out there. So do you have any questions that we can help answer in the next 10, 15 minutes? Please post your questions on our chat. I think we have a couple questions. There's one here. How about castor oil for constipation? I think we mentioned that, but is there any other ways you might use castor oil?
So you can do a castor oil pack, which isn't taken. You can take it internally, which is somewhat extreme. But you can also do a castor oil pack. And I think you have a great technique for that. What do you like to do with that?
Well, I love castor oil because I think when we think about things, we think about, okay, so we're trying to get this stuff out of their gut, but sometimes it kind of gets stuck there and we need to use a binder.
Mm-hmm.
But then if we use a binder, it's going to bind them up even more and then they get constipated.
Right.
So my favorite binder is castor oil because it actually binds fat-soluble toxins like mycotoxins and other fat-soluble toxins like metals. And it leaves and it doesn't get absorbed. So taking it periodically. The problem with castor oil is that it tastes nasty.
Yeah,
it's gross. So you can do something called a castor oil pack, in which you take a piece of paper, like an 8x11 piece of paper, but actually you cut a flannel, like an old flannel shirt, about the size of that piece of paper, and then fold that in half, drizzle it with castor oil, put it on your liver, right side underneath the rib, cover it with some parchment paper and a heating pad for like 15-20 minutes. And the castor oil gets absorbed into the liver, helps to drain the liver, the gallbladder, and clears through the body. So I really like castor oil packs. I think people think that they're much more difficult than they are to do. And there's YouTube videos and different things. And we have a handout at the office too. If you guys need more information, we can get that to you. So yeah, castor oil packs, they're a favorite. So 10, what was the question? 10 something for neuroinflammation. I can't read your question, sorry. So
is it TENS unit? Is that what the question is?
Oh, maybe the TENS unit. So we had a few patients try, that whole Nemechek concept where Dr. Nemechek is trying to help the gut-brain connection using olive oil, inulin, and cod liver oil. And then he also sometimes uses TENS unit to stimulate the vagus nerve on the ears. But we can sometimes use a TENS unit to help stimulate the gut using the TENS unit on the areas where the vagus nerve is on the tummy and in the back. So again, those of you guys that are our patients, maybe ask us about that, or we can talk about that in future sessions.
Yeah. That's a big subject too. The vagus nerve carries a lot of the information to the gut, and it's also part of the parasympathetic nervous system. So our kids who are stressed, and of course we're stressed too, being their parents, that will affect the motility, and sometimes that's the issue. So a chiropractic adjustment will help there. The TENS unit will help there. Yeah, it's a big subject.
And I think you mentioned exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think of detox, I think about a couple of things. I think about, okay, we're trying to move things out, so my patients really need to move.
Right.
And a lot of them are couch potatoes, and they just don't want to move. And as parents, we have to kind of force our kids to move. But try to make it part of the routine. A lot of the kids are very structured, and they love their schedules. And, don't think your kid can't get on a treadmill or walk for a little while, or, something simple that you can do in the home.
Take their iPad away, have them chase you to get it back.
I just think that people forgot how to do jumping jacks or something like that.
Yeah.
Where, just run up and down the stairs if you need to do that.
Jumping on a trampoline is usually very attractive to a kid. So.
Yeah. Just to get that cardiovascular system moving. But, all right. And so some other questions we've had here. Any particular essential oils to help target constipation? Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. I looked at that and I'm thinking.
To help with motility. I know I use some essential oils on around the belly button for the bacteria. So things like oregano and thyme, lemongrass. I like to use those types of oils on the tummy. And I think they do help with motility in the sense that they kind of help clear out some of that bad stuff. I know that there's some oils that can help with liver detox, like orange and lemon can be very helpful.
Yeah.
And then peppermint helps with reflux. So peppermint can help with GERD or reflux. So that might be a nice one to try to rub too on the upper part of the belly.
Okay. I'm seeing a question about calcium D-glucarate used for detox. And absolutely, that's really helpful in the detoxification of our own hormones. So with a lot of the foods, the animals that have been fed extra hormones and a lot of hormone disruptors in the environment, we can sometimes have trouble, especially as women, detoxifying our estrogens, and hormones tend to go to the dark side when they sit around in our bodies for too long. And so again, broccoli seed extract would fit in that category. Diindol methane, or DIM, also fits in that. And sometimes we'll see formulas with all of those. So great question. Yes, that will help.
And I think it was another question about beta-glucuronidase. Beta-glucuronidase is an enzyme, and sometimes you can get levels of that on stool tests in the stool. And if the levels are high, that means the body is breaking down that glucuronide, and that things that are conjugated to that, like estrogen and hormones, get deconjugated, and then you have to detoxify them again.
Right. They get reabsorbed and recirculated instead of going out.
Yeah. So people with high levels of that beta-glucuronidase may need that supplement that you mentioned, the calcium D-glucarate, to kind of help them. But what they really need is to get the bad bacteria out of the gut that's producing the beta-glucuronidase. And so it's, again, a question of dysbiotic flora and working on that dysbiosis and biofilms and all our favorite things. I think Jonah chimed in and said, "Oh yeah, ginger for constipation." And we should have known that one.
That's right. That's right. For nausea, for motility. Yeah, ginger has a lot of benefits. And it's very anti-inflammatory.
Thanks, Jonah.
Yes.
And you can put it in your chai too.
Yes. Oh, let me comment on the dandelion tea, which probably isn't going to be everyone's favorite, but it does support the detoxification processes of the kidney and of the liver. So drink your tea, girls. We need it.
And then another question here about, are there specific probiotics that help with constipation? Do you have some favorite ones?
So for constipation, and it really does vary by person, so remember you need to work with someone on this. the Lactobacillus reuteri is one of the brands. You can get that. I believe the company BioGaia makes that. It's not easy to get other than that, but that one is known specifically. Do you have another favorite?
For constipation? I mean, I like the reuteri. Sometimes the Bifidobacterium longum can be helpful as well. And yeah, so that might be another particular choice for that. So I think we're pretty much out of our time. We don't want to hold you guys too long. So any closing ideas or thoughts that you've had?
Well, first of all, remember that sometimes our situations are so complicated that it's hard to take advice that you would hear in a short webinar like this. And so we encourage you to make an appointment, to see one of us or to see your doctor to get more personalized, individualized help. But for those of you who are super advanced and you're not dealing with constipation, there is an awesome detoxification technique. It's called push catch. And basically you use some bitters or some herbals, some liver support to stimulate the liver to release bile, to work on its detoxification. And then you follow that 30 minutes later with a binder in the intestines that grabs it, takes it out of their body. And this is a technique that we're implementing more and more in our patients that we're working on this process with.
Yeah, so we get it out and then we bind it, so it doesn't really bother the body that much.
Right.
So, come visit our website at truehealthmedical.com and join us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, and we're going to try to do a few more of these if you guys are interested. Please give us some feedback and tell us about some ideas that you might have of topics that we could run through pretty quickly and help educate you guys so you can make good choices for your families and we can have better outcomes, because that's all we all want. All right. So thank you all for coming. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye.